Hey, welcome to Mega Man and Chill, where I literally just talk about whatever random topic while you can enjoy equally random footage of a Mega Man game playing in the background. For this chill session, I had another topic in mind, quote, based on my recent new employment, but other than it not really being all that interesting, there was something else that's been gnawing at me for a long time, and given the recent strings of videos I've made, this could be a rather open-ended discussion that's likely way overdue in the Mega Man community itself. Unlike the previous chill sessions, I had some sort of story that would warm you into the main topic, but this time there's nothing in particular that sparked this. It's a thought that's been in the back of my head for months, and the diverse interactions I've had with folks even outside of my own community shifted my perspective on things. So yeah, I'm just gonna hop right on into it. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that the Mega Man community is home to a wide diversity of opinions on certain things, ranging from which games herald the largest reputation from best to worst, to just about anything really. And hey, if you want my opinion, that's actually a good thing. I really love it when I hear a completely different take that differs from the crowd, because it gives me the opportunity to see things from a different perspective, provided that person expressed their opinion concisely. Sometimes that's a great thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing depending on the context, because it gives validation to a person's God-given right to have an honest opinion, and not be harshly judged for it deviating from what's considered the objectively correct opinion. And look, there's nothing wrong with leaning on objectivity, but you'll see where I'm going with this soon. In a well-grounded community, we'd see the likes of folks having civil discussions that don't result in flame wars waged at every corner over the most minute things. We'd have in-closet X7 fans able to freely spread their wings and sing the tunes of admiration without getting a public execution. Or Mighty No. 9 fans, even though that's technically not a Mega Man game, able to have their opinions rightly respected without having to worry about a flood of criticisms washing them away within the tumultuous waves of discord. Unfortunately, as much as I adore the Mega Man community, I'm the type of guy that doesn't sugarcoat and tells it as I see it. We ain't a grounded community like that. Like, I'm sorry, but I've been a spectator to a lot of discussions, and trust me, I've been in this community since I was a teenager and I'm nearly 30 years old. So yeah, I've got experience. The purpose of my commentary here is to calmly attempt to invoke some sort of positive change within the community, based on my unfiltered perspective. Of course, something like that isn't going to happen overnight, but you know, it's at least good to sow the seed while it's on my mind. I genuinely want to pave the way for the newer generation of fans, to properly lay down some grounded etiquette to adopt and use when engaging in discussions that could turn into disagreements. Hell, what I say here could be beneficial to oldies like me too, because it's not like we're free from contributing to a lot of the discussions turning sour either. Even I can admit to being too harsh at times with my rebuttals and have reflected on those moments, in order to become a more respectful person with things that I disagree with. We're not perfect, so I just wanted to get that little disclaimer out of the way first before I dive in any deeper. So it really does bother me when I see people who feel like they're unaccepted in this community or don't have a place in it because they just don't agree with the general consensus, or they're not too fond of what games are popularly revered and prefer something entirely different. That's where objectivity comes into play and screws everything up for everyone, not just the folks who feel invalidated. Being objective means sticking to the facts, being as unbiased as possible, and not having personal feelings mixed in. Objectivity is actually beneficial toward the likes of review content, so newbies can understand the fundamentals before deciding to give the game a shot or their time. But way too often I see the word objective being abused, and again, I can attest to this because I'm actually guilty of it myself. If you're trying to debate facts with someone and that discussion is purely objective in nature, then there's nothing wrong there. However, 95% of fan interactions are not like that at their core. Simply put, most fans want a space to freely express their opinions and hopefully feel welcomed, regardless of their stance on something. 9 times out of 10, they could care less if a game is objectively bad. They've had their own unique experience with it that we didn't experience, and I find that fascinating. I shit you not, if someone for real approached me and unironically told me I loved X7, my reaction would be, huh. I mean, I might laugh, but it'd be more out of surprise and being taken off guard than making fun of them, instead of telling them, you've gotta be joking. Or, what the hell, that game's trash. I'd instead respond with, wow, that's a new one. What about it that you loved exactly? Because I'd genuinely be curious. Of course, nothing anyone could say could convince me X7 is a good game, but their reasoning is valid enough for me to respect it. So when I see people starting a response with, it's an objective fact, it really just feels like a cheap way to win an argument that person likely didn't want in the first place. They just wanted to express themselves. Now, I'm not talking about people who say crazy shit with the intent to rile someone up or someone who's simply misinformed about something. I mean genuine fans who just want a good time expressing something they love without letting the objective facts spoil their fun. It's like watching two people happily discussing what they loved about X5. They're not bothering anyone and they're bonding over their mutual interest of a game that's scrutinized quite often. Then you have this one asshole drop in like, X5 bad game, in a tone that's dismissive of their preferences. Like, yeah, I respect your opinion too, buddy, but don't be a damn buzzkill and keep that to yourself. It's also akin to folks who heavily criticize X6, saying something's wrong with you if you found any sort of enjoyment with the game, and we all know how controversial that one game can be. Probably the most divisive subject, and the number of strong opinions hurled back and forth on each side reminds me of politics, and trust me, that's not a good thing. When everyone wants to divide themselves into two groups on opposite sidewalks that a road separates, no one wants to be accepting and understand each other enough to walk in the middle of the road together. That we don't want to share a space with someone because what they say doesn't align with our objective truth. Politics is basically a bunch of grown-ass children hurling insults back and forth and trying to show off how right they are, instead of focusing on what's really important. Maybe comparing X6 controversy to politics is a bit of a stretch because it doesn't get that crazy. But considering we live in an era where you're witch hunted for having a different opinion, it's not too far off. I'm just here to preach acceptance, man. Too often we lean on objectivity, yet a lot of us fail to realize that these are just video games. Each person has their different tastes and own standards of what they consider good or bad. And lots of the time, a so-called right opinion or objective fact stems from subjectivity. When a collective mass of subjective opinions clump together and unite, it becomes more objective because that's what the general consensus is. If a group of 1 million people come together and say, Mega Man 2 is the best Mega Man game ever, well, that's a lot of people. So you're inclined to believe that's just an objective fact because so many people expressed their own unique perspectives and ultimately came to a positive opinion. But if several thousand people say that they dislike the game, do we invalidate their criticisms just because they're in the minority? No, because once you realize nothing in life is perfect, even games, you'll be more open-minded to learn details of what they spotted that you and 1 million people may have missed. Not crapping on Mega Man 2, by the way, it's still a great game. That works vice versa as well, though I'll refrain from getting into that because it should be obvious, and I'm not here to fan the red hot flames of opinion wars for so-called bad games. I'm too old for that shit. In the end, the likes of X5 through 7, Mega Man and Base, and any other controversial game I could think of that may be branded as objectively bad, but in a grand scheme of things, who the hell cares? Just let people play whatever they want to like and respectfully disagree. It pains me when I look at an old video RoahmMythril made years ago about a certain opinion he has about a certain series. I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want horrible people finding that video and hounding him again. That being said, while there are things he said that I strongly disagreed with, that man has a right to his opinion and I don't give a shit about objectivity. The fact that to this day he still deals with that sickens me. And we as a community need to do better. The point of a community is to join together and have fun expressing our diverse opinions of a franchise we hold true and dear to our hearts. It's not a place to be at each other's throats, arguing what's good and bad in a toxic manner, and generally trying to dictate what's considered the right way under the guise of objectivity. If you're going to debate something, do so civilly, maturely, but most importantly, respectfully and calmly. Like, chill out, you know, we're just here to have fun. But that's all I've got to say. Just take it easy, y'all.